Barkley, Darius Slay, and so many others. Shady, the Eagles got him one. They've been to two in the last three. Is this the start of an Eagles dynasty?
When you say start, when somebody say that, you trying to understand the question. When you say start,
just trying to understand the question.
So, like, Saquon's on the path, though. I get what he's trying to say. Like, hey, we got a great team. We got a great coach, right? We got a superstar players, great offensive line, great defense, right? Hell of wide receiver. We got a great leader in Jalen Hurts. Why not be us? And I think we got our first Super Bowl, right? We've been to two of them in 3 years. We go to another one. And I think if we win the next Super Bowl, which I think we're going back-to-back for sure, though, then we can start talking that.
For sure?
Oh, yeah. Because the other day I was looking at all the talented players in the roster. We are a young group, man. And Howie has done a great job of getting talent in the room, and Nick Sirianni has done a great job of putting it together and coaching it. So now look at, okay, Saquon ain't slowing down. He's a workout alcoholic, all right? You look at the offensive line. Offensive line is the real deal. And they all are signed, right? I think we probably got to get Kai back, and we got to get him, figure out what we're going to do with that. And if we don't sign, which I wanted to sign back because he is good, but if we don't, Jeff Stoutland is the best offensive line coach in football. He'll find a way to get one other position done. And then the wide receivers. All the wide receivers got money on them. They there. On the defense, Zach Bond's the only one we got to really pay. We're going to be back again.
What about losing Kellen Moore? You know, you do your little.
Wait, let me answer that question.
That's a big deal,
Let me answer that
dog.
question for you, right? So I remember asking AJ, right? In so many words. I was asking AJ Brown. No, I'm answering your question.
Sorry.
I was like, yo, with all these different coordinators, like, how has it been? You know what he said? He said, listen, I don't care what your offensive mindset is or the game plan you want to do over there. When you come to the Philadelphia Eagles, everything is based around Jalen Hurts. So that means we're going to have some quarterback draws. We're going to have some RPOs. We're going to have some quarterback-driven runs.
Yeah.
So, like, if you watch Kellen Moore the way he coaches,
Not too complicated.
the offensive playbook didn't look the same at Dallas. They like the Eagles.
Nor in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now I start thinking like, yo, AJ's on to something.
Yep.
So it don't matter what your coaching philosophy is.
Yep.
When you got to the Eagles, you need to get this thing like Jalen. He said, and that's why, like, if you watch, a lot of our plays look the same.
Yeah. Well, Shady, educate us on this because to my
that's
knowledge,
such good insight.
Stoutland is the run game coordinator, the
Such good
offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland. So if he's a run game coordinator, so long as he's there and he ain't going nowhere. I think his son is on staff as well. Yep. So long as he's there, the run game is going to be the same. Saquon going to be the same. O-line
He don't call the plays, though.
Shady was talking about it. No, but he definitely, Stout be in that.
Yeah, but he don't call the plays.
That is true. But what we know is this.
I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Respectfully for Kellen Moore, because I think he's a good coach. But, like, he won like Andy Reid it out there.
He got Jalen Hurts a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP.
Saquon Barkley got us a Super Bowl. Get their words right.
He got Jalen Hurts a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP.
Okay, so
but you can't say that.
Hold up, real quick. The last time Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, he balled out, right? Kellen Moore was nowhere around. Okay?
Yeah, nowhere.
Okay, that's one. That's check. They look the same basketball-wise. Look the same.
Last year, Brian Johnson, not so much.
Hold on. We're going to Super Bowl. You said Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
You said Super Bowl. So Super Bowl, last time we see Jalen Hurts, he balled out. The last time against the Chiefs, he did the same thing this year.
Second team All-Pro.
The defense this year was going crazy. Right? So before Jalen Hurts even stepped on the field, we getting picked six, we getting all type of stuff, okay? And then the running game. We've never seen a running back have a year like Saquon Barkley ever. And I'm not going to give Kellen Moore all that credit.
I'm not either. I'm just saying,
So
I think it's something.
The best part about our team was the offensive line and our running back, right? And if Kellen Moore goes to wherever he goes to, that ain't going to change, right? So before we start, because I know you love the quarterbacks, before we start doing all that, pumping this back, because we was just saying how everybody was saying, yo, is Kellen Moore the guy for the job? We all talked about that. Yeah, so we going back.
And not only that, we all been sitting in the, except Acho because he was in the defensive meeting, but we all been sitting in the offensive meeting rooms leaned back where the O-line coach get up there and the run game coordinator get up there. That's not Kellen Moore. No, I ain't sleep because I got to be blocking one-on-one. So I got to make sure if Shady cut it back, I got to make sure I'm at least getting in the way.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? But they stand up there. These are our favorite runs this week. That's not going to change. Lane Johnson, if they like duo, power, whatever we running, that's what they going to run with the new offensive coordinator. A lot of that stuff is not changing. And then you're talking hitches and you're talking outs and you're talking go balls.
Right. Kellen,
But you also, I'm not saying I don't disagree, but you also have been in a situation like I have where you think it's a good offensive coordinator coming in, you have all these pieces, but there's sort of a timing to when to call these plays and how to call them and when to like third downs and when to go. I'm just saying there is
with all due
something
respect to Kellen Moore, if I walk in there right now and James Jones, because I'm the offensive coordinator for the Chandler Bears, if I walk in there right now and I see Saquon Barkley and this big offensive line and A.J. Brown and Smitty and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts, it's not hard to call the game for that offense. And I'm just keeping
That's a little disrespectful.
It ain't disrespect. I'm just keeping it a buck.
What was the difference
just saying it's a big
the first
I think
run
it's a big
to this run? What's the big difference?
Defense was way better.
So why we keep talking about Kellen Moore?
We don't, for no reason, Chase brought him up. I think this
There is a reason, Nacho.
I think this is the start of an Eagles dynasty. But you know what I said? I believe it started 2 years ago. It's the 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. 1 win. When there's only 5 teams since the turn of the century that have done that. 2 of those 5 teams became dynastic. The Patriots, the Chiefs. The Seahawks were on the fringe of becoming dynastic, but they had too much internal fracture.
Them graphics
I think,
today.
well, because football can be objective, and this is what happened on the football field. If the Eagles go back, which I think they're going back next year, will they win? I don't know, but I'm with Shady. I think they're going back next year. They were that much better than their NFC opponents. Remember, they won their conference championship game by 30-plus points. I believe they are going back next year. I think the dynasty conversation started with the first appearance. I think they confirmed that it's legitimate this year. That's where I'm at with the Eagles. I just think they are that good. They're that young. And also, they're just that talented.
Yeah. So a dynasty, you just have to go now? You don't have to
No. They're not a dynasty yet. But I think if you end up going to 3 and 4 years and you win 2 of them, that's when you're legit a dynasty. Right now, they're just like, this is the start. There's like, okay, we got conversations. We got conversations. But no, you're not a dynasty.
Well, when you break it down like that, we'll be all sitting up here crazy to say no, because you're looking at an extremely young roster. You're looking at a lot of talented players over there, and you just came off of a Super Bowl win. But we all know in the National Football League, to have success like that, number one, you got to be healthy.
Yep.
And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles were this year. They were extremely healthy, right? So next year, yes, on paper, it looks like they should walk in and they should be one of them teams in the NFC Championship because they have that type roster. But who knows if the health is going to be like this year. So I can't say a dynasty until I see them get back to that second one in a row.
After being named Super Bowl MVP, the question is simple, but the question is powerful. Is Jalen Hurts on a Hall of Fame path? Chase Daniel, I will first say yes. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Last 30 years, think about the quarterbacks, the players in the game of the National Football League that have won Super Bowl MVPs plus an All-Pro. You got Steve Young. You got John Elway, Kurt Warner, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. You cannot get on a list like this by coincidence. You cannot get on a list like this by luck. You cannot get on a list like this by chance. You can only get on a list like this by talent. Hall of Fame path. Not yet solidified himself as a Hall of Famer, but what this list suggests is very simple. Both for a year, he was one of the best at his position, All-Pro. And in a year, he played the best on the biggest stage in front of 126 million people, the most watched Super Bowl ever. Shout out to Fox. So what this suggests is that Jalen Hurts has been one of the best at his position for a period in time. And on the biggest stage, Jalen Hurts was the best that there is. He is on a path to becoming a Hall of Famer. Is there still more to be done? Absolutely. But when you think about records, Jalen Hurts has set records. Super Bowl rushing record by a quarterback, 72 yards, broke his own record of 70 yards from 2 years ago. When you think about records, Jalen Hurts is setting records. Only Hurts and Montana have played in multiple Super Bowls and had multiple rushing and passing touchdowns. You do not get on lists like this by chance. We're not talking video games. We're talking real life. And as it pertains to the path, Jalen Hurts is walking on it.
That was good, Archie. Can you 4-box us and put the graphic up, please, Colvin?
I'm nervous. I am nervous.
So QBs to win the Super Bowl MVP are an All-Pro. Steve Young, John Elway,
check.
Kurt Warner,
check.
Tom Brady,
a couple times.
Peyton Manning, Mahomes, Rodgers, my guy Drew Brees. And then you got Jalen Hurts highlighted in blue down there. Of
course.
Do you think he belongs on that list? Do you think he fits on that list with those names right there? Be honest, because I like what you were saying. Be honest. Does he fit?
You mean the players on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he fit with those names?
So here's a great question.
On the player of the list.
Based upon what criteria? Your talent?
The eye test, Acho.
The eye test, the only one I'd put him on the list with is Kurt Warner. I'd say he can go to war with Kurt.
There's a difference between Hall of Fame stats. You're good. You can take that off. There's a difference between Hall of Fame stats and Hall of Fame talent. And you're thinking that I'm not even going to respond to that. That's a different conversation. But stats versus talent, right now, there's just no stretch of imagination that he has the Hall of Fame talent. He's a winner, sure. But at what point? And I hate doing this. I hate
when you do it
because it's the day after the day after. I like that. I used it from me. I stole it. Of the Super Bowl. And I just got to bring people down to reality a little bit. Like, at what time and at what point in his career do we have to say that, man, he was carried by a really great team? And he had those stats, and you can't take away the All-Pro season. But in my opinion, winning Super Bowl MVP, I love it. I'm not trying to take it away from him, but it's not necessarily legacy defining. There's a lot of Super Bowl MVPs that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Of course.
And because you played one really good game, biggest game of your career.
Yes, sir.
Right? But, like, that's not legacy defining for me. You can't take away his second-team All-Pro. It's just way too early to say that. Like, the dude's 26, 27. To say Hall of Fame path, and I'm trying to say this respectfully, it's a really great start to the career. But you look at, like, Eli Manning. He was not a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And quite honestly, it wasn't even really close for him getting in. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 4 Pro Bowls. I know he didn't have the All-Pro. I get that. I'm with you on that. But just to say that he, you know, like, I'm trying to be respectful because I like what Jalen Hurts did this year. I thought it was an excellent year. But we just have to keep in contrast what is happening with him, and, like, at some point he's been carried.
Here's where I think Chase Daniel is blind. He cannot see this thing.
I got 20/15 vision, dog. I ain't blind. I'll tell you that much.
Here's where I think you're blind, Chase.
You can see far like this.
X-ray, dog.
You keep looking at quarterbacks like most of us do in an archaic sense.
No, I don't. No,
you do.
Stop that.
You do.
Stop. No, you keep saying that. Patrick Mahomes ain't archaic, dog.
Because the archaic.
Look at his last 2 years for Patrick Mahomes. The numbers weren't